honestly, at the end of the day, I can only hope for three things, really. An intact story, a fun and investing experience, and it not turning out to be a waste of money. I know 3 mainly rides on 1 and 2 pulling off, but if that whole thing about them releasing this as just the journey and coming out with another copy of this in 2 to 3 years with the answer is actually what's gonna fucking happen, yeah, I'm right to judge this on whether or not it'll be a waste of my fucking money. And hell, if it actually does turn out like that, then I don't know, maybe I'll just drop Persona altogether. I don't know about you all, but I am getting real fucking tired of the exact same game releasing in like 2 to 3 years that ultimately just has a couple of hours of new content and everything, and ultimately would be better off as just a DLC expansion story getting sold for 60 fucking bucks.
Right, so if you stuck with my streams up to now on twitch.tv/theartsozo-sha, this isn't all that new of information, but for everyone else, I finally pre-ordered Persona 3 Reload, and now it's just playing the waiting game, which is about, oh wow, less than a week from now as of this video. And I have been vocal about my thoughts on Persona 3 Reload going from the reveal trailer last year and whatnot, and I've said that if what happened to Persona 5 with Royal being Persona 3 Reload releases a new version of it in like 2 to 3 years or so at the same price for what ultimately amounts to being the same game with a DLC expansion, I'd pretty much just drop the series if that was going to be the case going forward. The reason for this being is that I don't have $140 to spend on the same damn game with a spitshine on it. And that isn't even accounting for the actual DLC and taxes. It's been a hot minute since I've been on that note, and I have been thinking about it, and ultimately, I think it's right for me to make this my last stop on that matter. It's an echoed concern, but video games are an expensive hobby to keep up with, and I don't have the luxury to continuously do this day in and day out and whatnot. And I imagine many of you watching this right now either know what I'm talking about, or can sympathize on that level. Or hell, even empathize, or even all the above. If this is the future going forward, and we're going towards more games costing damn near if not $100 to buy, not including DLC, memberships, microtransactions, and so on, it's honestly a better idea for me to take a step back and save my money. Now, all that aside, even if money wasn't an issue for me, how these titles have been handled to me as time goes on to me is honestly an outdated practice. I understand and look the other way when it comes to stuff like Persona 3 FES or Persona 4 Golden, but when it came to Persona 5 and Royal coming out on the exact same console, playing the exact same game again, but the things that are being added are just supplemental for the most part, in a time where games can be updated and patched alongside just releasing the new content as an added side package, how Atlus has been handling Persona it just feels like an outdated practice to me. Most likely, considering a number of people in this fandom, there are going to be people who just don't care regardless and are just going to buy it anyway because it's Persona. So, I don't think me stopping here is gonna matter at all to the people up top. Now, do I think Reload will be a terrible game in every way? Of course not. I have no doubt I'll enjoy myself with this game, because I've been enjoying myself with Persona this whole time. And I don't think I'll ever really stop liking Persona, really. While I've been keeping blind to this game for a while now, there are some things I am aware about going in, like the new casting, the new animations, and so on and so forth from what little I've heard and seen from it. And it's already impressed me how much of a step up it's turning out to be in comparison to its predecessor. I'm really interested to see what they add, take out, change, keep the same, and so on and so forth. In its own way, this is actually kind of poetic, because 3 is what sort of got me into Persona to begin with, and the remake is honestly what I'll be closing out of with this franchise. Now that said, I have said that I won't buy these titles anymore, but if people really want me to and you got the means to, ko-fi.com/theartsozo-sha, you can donate to me there. If not, well then, I guess this is pretty much just going to be it going forward. So, whenever Atlus releases new Persona games, or Persona 6 really, yeah, I'm not going to give a fuck. The last I will probably talk about any of the Persona games will most likely be when I eventually do a podcast episode on Reload. But other than that, I think most of my attention to the franchise will be more retro-focused. There's a lot of media around this series, both in anime and manga, and admittingly I have yet to actually discuss either of them much. You know, aside from 5, Trinity Soul, and Detective Naoto. I've been pretty quiet on that end pretty much, aside from those, though. So, to take a step back and actually look at some of the older works I think will be pretty interesting. Am I, saddened or depressed that ultimately this is sort of going to be the last stop? Yeah, honestly. But I don't really have much of a choice. And if there are actual people that legitimately think that the increase in price for these games and how Atlus alongside other game companies have been doing their financial practices, if there are any people that actually think there's no real issue for this as a consumer or anything, and they're willing to pay whatever money is needed to buy these games and whatnot, I mean, I can't really stop you considering that it's your money, right? Right? It is your money, right? Right?